they know me by my apathy.
Welcome back to Sew Simone. I am Simone and I am sharing my very beginner journey learning how to sew from scratch. Today we are actually sewing a free pattern that I downloaded off of Tiana's closet. This one is called the Kyra Mini Skirt. But before we get into it, full disclosure, this is actually Simone from the future. This is the second time I'm filming this intro because the first time around I had actually gone to what we call a papeleria here in Mexico. They actually didn't have the software that I needed to be able to turn the layers on and off. So I just printed the full pattern with every single size thinking it'll be okay. I thought that I'd just be able to count the lines away from the closest line, mark it out and cut it out, and that would be the size that I needed. I was, of course, extremely wrong about that, but I did not realize that. So I literally spent an entire day cutting my pattern pieces out. I cut the fabric out. I started sewing it all together until I ended up with my first piece of the skirt, and I put it up against my body and I was like, oh my gosh, this is absolutely tiny. There is no ways this is going to work. So what we're actually doing is kicking this video off on day number 2 after I was able to print the pattern correctly. So welcome. Alright, so it has been a few days since I last worked on the skirt. When I showed you guys this piece and I held it up to my body, I thought, you know what, I might get away with it. It might end up fitting me. But then I started to really look at it and think about seam allowances and hems and stuff. And I was like, wow, that is going to be inappropriately short. So never mind the fact that it will never fit over my hips. So I was like, you know what, I'm not going to carry on with this. I'm going to go and I'm going to try and print the pattern correctly so I can get the correct size. Now that was a whole nother story. Here in Mexico, we've got things called papelerias, which are really just these little hole in the wall stationery stores. They just do very basic printing, but for this type of pattern you actually really need Adobe printer, and there's one other that it says on the pattern. So after a whole lot of searching, we finally found this place that was able to print the pattern where they're able to turn the layers off, because what I didn't take into consideration, there is actually a seam allowance line as well, which I didn't even remotely think about. So amongst all those thousands of lines that I was trying to differentiate between, I didn't know that there was a seam allowance. So that's why I ended up with tiny pieces, way too small for me. So long story short, I printed this correctly after a few attempts. I stuck all the pieces together. I've already cut out all of my pattern pieces, and I'm just going to start all over again. This is the first skirt. Look at the size of this yoke versus this. I wish I had 4 hands to show you guys. This yoke is at least 5 or 6 centimeters longer than the first yoke. So I believe that this version is definitely going to cover all of the important bits. I'd also like to point out that I finally got myself a bit of a longer ruler. I'm not actually following this pattern to a T. Actually, the pattern is very basically written. It's just a few steps. It doesn't really explain anything in detail. I'm much more of a visual learner, so I found a YouTube video that explained how to do this pattern. So I'll link it below if you wanted to make this. But I'm going to try something here. Because this fabric seems to fray very easily, and because I already deviated slightly from the pattern by making double lined yoke pieces, what I'm actually thinking here, by attaching the front ruffle to the yokes, I actually want to sandwich it in between the yoke pieces so that all of the frayed edges are going to be enveloped inside. I mean, that's what my brain is saying right now. I first need to do it. I don't know if it's going to work. So I've pulled the basting stitch through now, so it's created all these ruffles, which means the bottom skirt piece is the same length as the edge of the yokes. So now it gives me the opportunity to be able to pin this all into place, and you guys have got a better idea of what the sandwich is going to look like. We've got yoke, frill, yoke. If this works out, it's going to be a much neater final product than the first little skirt that I tried to make. Okay. I think my theory was correct. Oh my gosh, yes. Yes. It worked. We've got no raw edges anywhere. They're all hidden in the sandwich between the yolks. I would highly recommend doing that if you're making this pattern. This was the original one, the very small one. And as you can see all of those seams coming out. Look how much smaller this skirt is. I'm so glad I decided to scrap this first one. I want to feel excited that I'm going to have something to wear. So it like really pushes me to do the best job that I can do. So I'm like more motivated to figure things out, you know, because I might end up with a new outfit. I've got to do the same with the back side of the skirt, but the back side of the skirt, because it's going to be joined with a zip, they're two separate pieces. I'm going to use the same technique, and yeah. So I've gone and attached the yolks to the two back sides of the skirt. I had to do this multiple times because it's difficult to see which is the good side and the bad sides of the fabric. But now I've made double sure. We're also doing the sandwich technique for these. So I'm about to go and sew that along. Then we start assembling the skirt.
Sharp eyes, short hair, soft skin, it isn't fair. Can I get close to you? One drink, two puffs, three looks, I've had enough. Come on, baby, let's get to it. 'Cause you got my head a swimming, yeah you do. But can I keep up if I...
So before we put the pieces together, I just really want to iron out the seam over here. If there's something that I've learned so far on my sewing journey, is that the ironing part is not to be skipped. Ironing does wonders for the overall look of your finished piece. Just makes everything look so much sharper. Alright, so we've got all three pieces. So now what I'm going to be doing is putting these together. Putting good side against a good side. Okay, starting off at the seam, because I really want the seam to be exactly aligned. So far so good. I'm really happy with how clean this is turning out. Only thing that I'm like is the zipper. I did make this when I first received my machine, and I did put the zipper in. It's alright. It's definitely a little bit wonky, but this is also not an invisible zipper. And something that I realized is that you actually should have a proper zipper foot. I think it's called a zipper foot. Yeah, which I might have. But I've heard that invisible zippers are notoriously difficult to get right. I don't know, I don't want to jinx myself. There is a chance that I get it right the first time, but I think if anything's going to make the skirt look homemade, it would be that. Okay, so straight stitch and about a 2.5 length. My husband is just busy ordering us a pizza. We don't usually get takeouts, but today is actually Mexican Independence Day. We've lived together in Mexico for 5 years now, 5 years, más o menos. To celebrate Mexican Independence Day, we're ordering pizza, which is very non-Mexican. But anywho, it's okay. It's a public holiday. Okay. Okay, well, my ends didn't match up exactly. There's a little bit of extra thread there, but that's nothing that we can't fix with the hem when we do it. Okay, so, woo, this is so exciting. Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, so this will be the front, and this is now 1/2 of the back attached. Oh my gosh. I'm not going to film it, but I'm just going to add the other side of the back. I'm going to close it off with a zigzag stitch. I don't have an overlocker yet. If you've already got an overlocker and you have a recommendation for me, I've obviously had my eye on the Singer because I've just got the Singer sewing machine, but I know Brother's also a good brand. I don't know. If I'm putting so much work into these pieces, I really want them to be durable and to last long. I mean, I know zigzag stitch is alright for now, but I just don't want to see a lot of fraying in the stuff that I'm putting so much work into. So yeah, your recommendations would be highly appreciated. So for the zigzag stitch, I'm moving my needle to the very right hand side. I'm changing to a zigzag stitch and I've got it on length 3. That actually turned out pretty clean. The skirt is coming on very nicely. It's looking very clean. It looks like it's definitely gonna fit. So we're just gonna put that to the side for now, and I'm working on the pieces with the interfacing. So this is kind of like a reinforcement for the part that goes directly around your waist. This is literally the only thing that the fabric store had. It's not the type that you can iron on, which I would assume it would be easier to have the iron on version, but couldn't get that. So we just do what we can. I don't know if this is a bit thick. I don't know. I am just laying the interfacing on the bad side of these cutouts. What am I doing? Am I attaching them? Yes. How am I attaching them? Like that or like that? I believe like that. Okay, cool. I'm just going to be sewing down the sides here. I'm going to be sewing along there and along here. Okay, so that's what we've got so far. So before overlocking these parts together, I thought, oh, let me go and press my seams open, not thinking anything of it. And right away, my interfacing just melted. So I have to go and do this all over again. Although no, I suppose I need to. So what I've done is I've gone and I have pinned my fabric to the interfacing the whole way down this side. I'm going to be doing a zigzag stitch to close it off, a zigzag stitch to close off the other end, and then we can attach it to our skirt. Okay, so now that the interfacing part is all done, it actually looks very neat. It turned out very nicely. We're going to be attaching it to the skirt. So I have got the right side of my skirt facing up, and I'm going to put the right side of the interfacing facing down. Oh my gosh, would you look at that? It matches up perfectly with the seams of the skirt. That is so exciting. So I'm just going to be securing it along here. Actually, let me show you. I'm going to be securing it along the top of the skirt. And then we're moving on to the part of this project that I'm actually quite nervous for, which would be the zip. I don't know if you noticed today, but I'm actually wearing long jeans. We woke up this morning to a torrential downpour, which is one of the first big downpours we've had of the rainy season, which is so exciting. I love the rainy season.
Remember me, we used to love each other so passionately. Now I'm cold and gray, and I'm looking for you to remind me how to feel that way. 'Cause I keep looking behind me for an answer, babe. I'm looking for you to remind me.
I have about a 1/4 inch seam allowance here, and the lady in the video is telling me that I need to cut quite a lot of it off so that we can fold it over and do a back stitch. I'm assuming we're cutting off a bit of bulk to make it less bulky around your waist, I would assume. It feels kind of weird to cut something that you've already overlocked, but I mean, I'm just over here following instructions the best that I can. Oh gosh, could you imagine if I cut a seam? That would be un disastre. I'm going to have my skirt the wrong way around, and now this seam that I've just trimmed, I'm going to be folding it back and stitching down towards the interfacing. I don't really have a lot of fabric to work with here, so I'm going to have to be very precise. Yeah, once that's done, we can fold them over, give them a good press, and that's going to leave us with a nice clean waistband. I really need to prioritize making one of those puff thingies. I still don't know what they pin cushion. I need to prioritize making a pin cushion because I don't know if it is the best habit to store all of my pins here. Actually, if you guys have a cute pin cushion, one of the ones that goes around your wrist, if you've got a cute pattern that I can follow, please share that below. I'd really appreciate that. I'm a little bit scared for this part because, not scared, but just we've got such a little bit of fabric to work with here. All we can do is try our best. Honestly, this is not going well, but on the other side, the side that will be visible, it looks very good. But on the side that I'm currently seeing, it does not look good. Yeah, if I could do this again, I definitely wouldn't have trimmed off so much fabric. I keep running into this problem with the fabric. I don't know if you can see here, it keeps coming up above the presser foot. So, I mean, I keep just lifting the presser foot slightly and putting it down, but it just keeps catching. So that stitch did not come out too badly, but it definitely is not the cleanest work I've ever done. And I can also see that my seams don't line up as nicely as I originally thought they would, but it's okay. It's okay. As a beginner, I really need to learn to stop being so critical of my work. Anywho, I'm going to fold this backwards and I'm going to get a very nice pressed edge like this all the way along. I didn't know that this thing squirted water. Ted, my lamps. Have you barely made an appearance? Hey? Okay, so there's just one final thing left to do before we move on to the zip, which is securing the end of the interfacing and doing a zigzag stitch the whole way down the side of the skirt and obviously the opposite end as well. Okay, so this is my very first invisible zipper ever. What the lady in the video on So Happy is saying is that I must open up the zipper and I must uncoil this and I must press it flat. Now, I don't know so much after yesterday's melting incident if it's the best idea to be putting heat onto plastic, but I mean, I'm just following what she says. Good thing I've actually got 3 more, so if we melt the first one, not a problem. Okay, nothing appears to be melting, which is good.
You may know me by my apathy, but it's something I'm trying to change. But it's hard to wake up.
So this is the left side of the back of the skirt. I've got the zipper, the correct side, the right side of the zipper facing the right side of the skirt. And before I can even secure this, I'm just going to see if I even do have a zipper foot. And if I do, I'm going to have to watch a YouTube video to learn how to change a foot because I've because I've never changed a foot on my machine before. So give me a moment and I will be back. This is everything that I received with my machine, and this is the zipper foot that I was hoping for. According to YouTube, literally all you have to do to change a foot is push that back and look. Ooh, okay, and then to put a new one on, so I'm just lining this bar up with this little, I don't know, hollow piece here, dropping the, no, let's see, there we go. Cool. I am going to try and sew right up against the teeth. Why am I nervous? Oh, it's not moving anywhere. I don't know if... Okay, so something's not right here. I don't know, the needle is not doing anything. It's going into the fabric, but it's not like moving it, if you know what I mean. I don't know. Ah, there we go. Okay, something's happening. Okay. This over here is the zipper teeth, and just over here is the thread. And if we turn that around, the teeth are actually pretty invisible. I think once it's all together, I think I did an okay job. While the zipper is closed, what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up the interfacing and ensure that the top of the zipper is completely flush with the top of the skirt, but also that the zipper teeth are 3/4 of a pulgada, I'm joking, of an inch away from the end of the skirt. Okay, and then I just want to line up the yoke seam just to make sure that the zip is straight. I'm just going to sew right along here, and then we are very close to having the skirt done. Man, this really is very tricky. Let's see how invisible it is. Ooh, it doesn't even close. Okay, no. I'm definitely going to have to unpick. I can't even close the zip because I think that I sewed a little bit too close to the teeth. Hello again, Mrs. Sally the Seam Ripper. What I've learned from this experience is you want to sew as close to the teeth as possible, but not too close, because if it's too close, which is what I did the second time I sewed, it actually inhibits the zip from being able to function, because I think there's too much fabric too close to the teeth. Where's your dad going, my bumps? No, not you. Can you see him? Yeah. It's almost time for his walk. Hey, my bumps. Oh no. I don't know. I don't have a good feeling about this. As I got to that seam, it all kind of like pulled it, and I think I went right through the teeth again. Oh, no. Ah, okay. 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 We have got an invisible zipper, and it is somewhat invisible. I mean, for my first attempt, it's not bad. Look at this, look at this. Okay. Okay. I hope I don't flash you, because obviously it's not sewn all the way down. But look. I'm so happy. It fits me perfectly. If I went with a small, there's no ways it would have fit. So, yep, medium was good. It fits so well, comfortable, but snug where it needs to be. I'm so happy with this so far. So this top part, to finish it off, we'll just tuck it in, and then this is the part that I actually need to hand sew closed. So that will close off the zipper quite nicely. I just need to pin the back of the skirt together and sew along here to close it off. Do our little hem, and we're pretty much done.
You may know me by my hand.
So the back side, aside from me being able to finish this off with my hand sewing, the back side is done, and literally all that is left is to do a little hem, which easy as pie, and we've got a skirt. If I do have one complaint, there is a gap here. Like, actually, let me show you. Ooh, hello. I genuinely don't know how to fix that, but it's okay, because you know, once I'm wearing the skirts, there's enough ruffles at the back to completely hide that. No one is actually going to see that. I really enjoyed this project. It was challenging enough to keep me excited, but not so difficult that I felt completely overwhelmed and discouraged. The instructions themselves are not very thorough at all. It's just a basic overview of what you should do, which if you're a complete beginner, you wouldn't know these techniques, right? The only way that I was able to figure this out was because I followed the tutorial by So Happy, which is linked below, by the way. But overall, the actual pattern itself, like the pattern pieces and the overall product, came together really nicely. I'm very happy with this. I most certainly would do it again. If you're considering doing this pattern, I would highly recommend it. Just don't make the mistake that I did by not printing it correctly. That's one thing. And if I had another tip, I don't know. I would say watch the video tutorial over trying to follow the written instructions, because they're very basic. My Kyra Mini Skirt is finally done. I hand stitched in the top part of the zipper, very poorly, I might add, and I did the hem. And interestingly enough, it's those two things that make this skirt to look very much homemade. Number one, I found it very difficult to effectively sew the top of the zipper in. It looks very messy. On the inside, it looks like a disaster. On the outside, when I'm wearing it, it's not too bad, but the zipper doesn't quite match up, and it's okay. And how I would do the hem a bit differently next time, what I think I just don't like is how the skirt feels heavy on the end, but it also sits quite far from my body. And I think that's because I did a double hem, plus I've got a zigzag stitch right at the end of the fabric. So next time, I'll just do the zigzag stitch and fold it up one time. But overall, I think that this project gets like a 7.5 out of 10 from me. I would definitely make it again. If you've got any beautiful patterns that you'd like for me to attempt, please, I am all ears, so let me know in the comments. And if you made it this far in the video, let me know by leaving a secret emoji in the comments, which let's make it a bear. Leave a bear in the comments to let me know that you made it all the way to the end. Subscribe, because there's going to be a new video every single week. You actually might be able to peek my next project. I already started it. And thank you so much for being here, and we will see you in the next one. Hasta luego.